Yo, Headliner Nation, what is going on? Kyle back with the Fantasy Headliners, and today's video is about the perfect draft. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, the perfect draft, is because we've got a section of our draft guide called the perfect draft, where I go through and I break down essentially all the spots of a draft from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and what your perfect draft would look like regardless of where you are drafting from. So make sure that you do have an opportunity to get your draft guide. You can order it right now at thefantasyheadliners.com. And in fact, I'm going to give away one on this video for free if everyone hits that like button and gets us to 1,500 likes, and I'm going to pick someone from the comments down below. But all of our mock draft videos, when we talk about that, sponsored by our friends over at Fantrax, and they have got one heck of a giveaway going on right now. I want to make sure everyone is aware of. You could win tickets to any NFL regular season game for you and your entire league when you create a free account over on Fantrax. When you do it, use code word headliners, and then you can either create a new league, you can join an active league, you can bring over your existing league, do all of that. It's all free, and they are going to pick somebody this year to give away tickets to a regular season game of your choice for you and your entire league, and they're going to give you $6,000 towards travel and accommodations. That is one heck of a giveaway. And for those of you that were wondering about our listener leagues that we were going to be doing, just a quick update. Unfortunately, we had to put a stop on them for right now, but they will be back very, very soon for members only. We had a few issues. Unfortunately, it looks like our leagues may have been infiltrated by some less than desirable individuals, and they kind of blew things up, and it was unfortunate that we had to stop it. But we're working with Fantrax right now to get members only leagues up and running here very shortly. So if you want to participate and compete against us, join button right down below. Click that join button. You can join for $5, $10, $20 a month. Free access to our entire Discord if you go $10 or higher. It's amazing. So make sure that you have an opportunity to do that. But enough of all that. I got to jump into the information now and talk about what the perfect draft would look like. Now, I'm only going to talk about my first 8 picks because, again, this information's in the draft guide. This is a teaser. This is a teaser just to titillate you a little bit, just to get you excited for the draft guide. And if you already have the draft guide, this information might be news to you. But when we were getting ready to draft our listener leagues, I was in the 7th spot, and I was actually going to break down my entire game plan for everybody to see. But unfortunately, we will be redoing it now. So maybe I'll get the 7th spot still in the next draft, and I can show you what it's looking like. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm drafting from the 1.07, and this might surprise you, but I'm going to go with Ja'Marr Chase first. Now, this team is going to be extremely risky, but there is so much upside with it, I don't care. I don't care. To me, when you talk about fantasy football, you hear us talk a lot on the channel about needing to be part safe and needing to be part risky. You need some upside, you need some floor. This draft right here is going to have a whole lot of upside, okay? It's not going to have nearly the floor that normally I would do, but when I took a look and I mock draft over on Fantrax from every single position over and over again, the 1.07 was the one where I said this could potentially be the best team that I put together, and I kicked it off with Ja'Marr Chase at 1.07. Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson were typically off the board by then, all right? It is looking like that those two guys are going to be off the board before Ja'Marr Chase. Now, one of the things with this video, I can only pick people that are at the ADP that I'm currently picking from or later. I cannot assume that anyone before that ADP will be there. So Ja'Marr Chase normally going around the 1.09. I take him at the 1.07, and I take a lot of that upside with the wide receiver position because my next 2 to 3 picks are going to be what really forms this team, and you're going to see why here in just a second. But with my second pick at the 2.06, I'm still going to risk it with Alvin Kamara. I'm still going to do it. His trial was pushed back again to the middle of the season. I really don't anticipate a suspension coming this year. If it does, at worst, it's going to be later in the season. And for me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to risk it on Alvin Kamara, make sure that I have his backup, and if for some reason he is suspended later in the season, I will be okay with somebody there instead. But even if it is later in the season, we're talking late, and more than likely, again, 75 to 90% sure he's not going to be suspended until 2023, because there is a really good chance that we get to his trial date in a couple of months when we're past the midpoint of the season, and they say we're just going to delay it again until after the beginning of the year. So Alvin Kamara, a guy that's a locked-in top 12 running back, if he is playing, I'm taking him at the 2.06. That is such good value. That is the type of risky pick that will end up winning you a fantasy league later in the season. And then I back it up with my RB2, going with James Conner at the 3.07. This guy is going to get a lot of looks this season. He's still going to get a lot of touchdowns. He probably won't get as much work in the passing game as we would like, but that is okay. This is a team that is going to be great on offense. You've got Kyler Murray with tons of weapons around you. It's going to open up holes for James Conner. Hopefully he's a little bit more efficient on the ground this coming season in case we do tone the volume back just a little bit. But we know he was a beast last year, and that was with Chase Edmonds. There's no Chase Edmonds now, and the two guys that are behind him on the roster, when you talk about Benjamin or Williams, both of these guys, they don't really kind of touch what Chase Edmonds was for this team last year. Now, it does look like that Benjamin is probably going to be the RB2, which doesn't surprise me. If you've watched this for a while, you know that I kind of have a thing for Eno. He's not a bad player. He's a guy that's going to work out of the passing game. He's a guy that I think could be a James White-like player. Rip to James White retiring. Congratulations on a great career. But for me, James Conner, I think, is a very, very safe pick now in the third round. And then we're going to go for a guy that I absolutely love this season, Elijah Mitchell at the 4.06. If you haven't watched Elijah Mitchell, or if you haven't watched my video on must-have players or breakout players, which one was he? He was breakout players, right? Yes, he was. If you haven't watched, no. He was must-have players, right? Yes, he was. I can't remember anymore. We've got so many videos coming out. I can't remember. It was either my last must-have or breakout players, but Elijah Mitchell is included in there, and I gave you deep diving stats to show you that he was the lead back last year. This thought process of Elijah Mitchell being a guy in a committee and that Kyle Shanahan always uses a committee is inaccurate. For those of you that say, well, Kyle, when was the last time he gave a guy back-to-back? Well, it hasn't been in San Francisco, but he hasn't had the guy that he's really loved in San Francisco. Remember Devonta Freeman in Atlanta? Back-to-back seasons leading the team, and he was a darn good fantasy asset. Really going back here quite a bit. But maybe you remember back in Washington a name, Alfred Morris. Maybe you remember Alfred Morris back in Washington. I know I do. Back-to-back seasons, fantasy relevant both seasons. Absolutely. Give me some Elijah Mitchell this year. He is a guy that maybe he's going to lack some upside, but he is going to be a very safe RB3 for you. Now, here we go. This is where the team really starts to take shape. Allen Robinson in the 5th round. Again, I am taking these guys before their ADP. I'm taking them before their ADP, where they currently stand. Allen Robinson is a guy that you can get right now in the beginning to middle of the 5th round. Absolutely lock that in for me every single day. Allen Robinson is going to be a very safe bet. Does Cooper Kupp limit some of his upside this year? Absolutely he does. But he's going to get targets in that offense. I'm not worried about Matthew Stafford and his arm at this point. Robinson's going to get the targets. Huge bounce back year coming. And he's going to be a guy that, yes, absolutely. I mean, he's going to be a guy that isn't even the focal point of the offense. Imagine Allen Robinson and what he could do, not even being the focal point of his offense. And then, to round out my wide receiver position, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 6. Look at the type of value that you get on the wide receiver position late. That is why my philosophy has been this year, if you really don't want to start running back, if you want to start with one of the big time wide receivers, go ahead if you would like to do that in the mid to end of your first round. And then you need to go running back, or running back after that. Really enforce the running backs. Do that. And if you look at this team right now, I get Jamar Chase as that high upside play, but then I grab an Allen Robinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who should both see a healthy amount of targets this season and be guys that I absolutely can trust every single week to not lose weeks. Maybe Allen Robinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown don't win you weeks. Jamar Chase will, but now I've also got two guys that are safe floors. So on the weeks where T. Higgins blows up and Jamar Chase doesn't, I have the opportunity to back that up. Now it's time to go at the quarterback position, and we're going to take the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. Imagine the quarterback 2 from last season going as, well, quarterback 2 or 3, depending on your league, one of the two. Tom Brady going in the 7th round. This is why I don't wait on this is why I wait on quarterbacks. Look at the absolute value I can get all the way in the 7th round. I have absolutely filled my team with studs from top to bottom, and then I bring Tom Brady in at the 7th round. Yes, please. Dude is going to be a lock. He's a top 12 quarterback. He's going to have even more upside than that. He's got tons of weapons around him again. Yes, the offensive line is going to be a little bit different. For me, that doesn't matter. They're going to do what will need to be done. And my tight end, waiting a little bit longer than I would like. But looking at the guys that you can get in these situations, I end up passing on Dalton Schultz, which is really kind of my target, to go ahead and go with Zach Ertz. And the reason I'm doing that is because at least to begin the season, Zach Ertz should be heavily targeted. Now, when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, that could change. But by that time, at least maybe you've established a guy that you could grab to stick on your roster that will help you in case Zach Ertz starts to lose some of that fantasy viable upside every single week because he has DeAndre Hopkins back. So that's why I'm okay going with Zach Ertz in the 8th round, because then at that point, again, you take him, he gives you a great start to the season, you turn around, you look for that guy to grab throughout the year that you can stash on your bench, and then you've got Zach Ertz backed up after that 6th game in case things don't continue that way when DeAndre Hopkins comes back. But give me a grade for this team. If you left your draft with this team, how would you be feeling? If you're a member on the channel, I need an emoji that you can use. I need that in the comments. A members only emoji that you can use in the comments to tell me what you think about this team. If you're not a member, become one and then do it. But if you're not and you don't, then you need to leave me a grade. What would be your grade of this team? How would you be feeling heading into your season looking at this as being your 8 starters and what it would mean for your team? Now, again, a draft, a team is going to bring into account your bench, late round stashes, and things of that nature. But again, this right here is for me, the perfect start to a draft if you're coming out of the 7th position. If anybody comments in the comments below that this isn't their ADP because they're using ADP from Underdog, I'm going to ignore you because best ball ADP and redraft ADP are not the same thing. Not even close. If you're using Underdog ADP to get ready for redraft season, I apologize for losing your league so early. But let me know what you think about this team. I think it's an absolutely amazing team. I think it could kick absolute hind end in any league that you would be playing in. But this, to me, is the perfect draft. Of all the spots I've mock draft from, of all the research I've done, this is by far the favorite team that I've put together while doing mock drafts over on Fantrax. So appreciate everybody tuning into this video. Make sure you hit that like button for me so when we get to 1,500 likes, I can give away a draft guide to somebody down in the comments that lets me know how this team is. And if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, definitely need you to hit that subscribe button and stick around for all of the material that is coming the rest of the year. Peace out, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on 3rd down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this headliner nation.
I'm a headliner.